We are very privileged to welcome today's graduation speaker, an Otago alumna whose commitment to serve others has seen her win national recognition. I am very pleased to introduce Kendall Flutie of Ngāi Tahu and Ngāti Kahunongu, an inspirational young leader whose career I'm sure will continue to go from strength to strength. Her entrepreneurial streak was evident from the get-go. She was selling class newspapers at the age of 7. After completing a Bachelor of Commerce in Economics and Accounting and a Master of Entrepreneurship at Otago, she launched herself into the tech startup space, co-founding Banker in 2014, an online program that helps young Kiwis develop financial literacy skills. Under her leadership, this social enterprise grew into a classroom mainstay across New Zealand and Australia, reaching more than 500,000 students and earning multiple awards along the way. That saw her named the 2019 Young New Zealander of the Year at the age of 28. After a decade at the helm of Banker, Kendall felt herself called to serve her iwi, and last month she took on the role of Chief Operating Officer of Te Runga o Ngāi Tahu, and as it begins delivering on its intergenerational strategy, Mō Ka Uri Kai Tahu 2050. We are very excited to see her leadership and expertise continuing to serve this vital mahi. Nō reira, Kendall, ko tēnei te mihi. Please join me in welcoming Kendall Flutie to deliver the graduation address.
Tuatahi e ngā mihi ana au ki ngā maunga, ngā awa me ngā tohu whenua hira o te rohi nei. Tēnei te mihi ki a koutou. E mihi ana ki ngā mana whenua, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou Vice-Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor, Chancellor me rangatira mā. Tēnā koutou e ngā tauira. Heuria hau ngō Ngāi Tahu, ngō Ngāti Kahununu ki Wairarapa me rangitani hoki, ko Kendall Flutie tōku ingoa. Hi, I'm Kendall. It's a privilege to be here today. Thank you for letting me share in what is your special day. Today, you stood on a stage, and it will probably feel like the stage. The one you've literally worked years for. The one where they've called your name, you crossed it, beautifully, by the way, and if you're anything like I was, you smiled semi-awkwardly while you shook hands, and posed your photo, and just most importantly, tried not to trip on the stairs, right? And you all did brilliantly. You've made it, you earned it, and I hope you're proud. I can see pride beaming off the faces in the audience. But here's what I want you to know. This won't be the only stage you stand on, and here's my hope for you. I actually hope that it won't be the most important stage you stand on, because life is full of stages. And since I departed this very stage, I've had the absolute privilege of walking across stages I'd never imagined, and some that I had to build with my own two hands. When I graduated from Otago, I really couldn't have pictured what would come next. As you heard, I was an economics and accounting student with a streak for entrepreneurship, and while I had that appetite for something a little bit different, in reality, my path ahead was as a graduate accountant at KPMG. It was solid, it was safe, and it was spreadsheet ready. I thought success meant a great corporate grad role, a great salary, and a great barista-made coffee on demand. I really never imagined the reality of stepping away from that stage of success within just 6 months. And I actually knew 3 weeks into the role that that wasn't my stage of success. So I took a leap of faith. I quit, and I followed my true passion, that fire that smouldered within me, and I leapt into the stage and onto the stage of curiosity, and I retrained as a software developer. I then never imagined the stage of really grinding an idea into reality over a decade. The one where I threw it all in, again, yes, there's a theme, I'm a quitter, to found Banker, the financial literacy company, which maybe, this really ages me, maybe some of you used at school. This was a stage with immense purpose. A stage where we've had a numbers update, over 700,000 rangatahi's lives were impacted, and they all sat in the audience of that stage of mine. As you can imagine, that is a stage that is deeply, deeply meaningful to me. And then there came the stage of governance and directorships, sitting on the boards as a director of the FMA, the Financial Markets Authority, Whairawa, the Insurance and Financial Services Ombudsman, and more. I couldn't imagine any of those stages when I shook the hands on this stage back in 2012. And probably many of my teachers couldn't either. I've stood on some remarkable stages. You heard a bit about them, New Zealand of the Year stage. I've stood in the room with the Prime Minister advocating aggressively for financial education stage. I've stood on tech conferences stages, investment panels, TV interviews, all the flashy stuff. And those are the stages that I'm often brought onto other stages, ironically, to talk about. And those are the stages that end up in your bios. They look like this one. They're grand, they're decorated, they're filled with people clapping for you. But there are lots of other stages, and others will be lonelier, messier, quieter. I myself have stood on the stage of burnout, of imposter syndrome, of doubt. I've stood on the stage of doing the right thing when it really, really, really hurt to do, walking away from opportunities that didn't align with my values, waving goodbye literally to $500,000 in revenue in a second. And the truth is, most of the stages that mattered in my life never came with a microphone or applause. They came quietly, through challenge, through doubt, through values tested under pressure. And the most important ones, the very most important ones, I had to build myself. There was no invitation, no prepared run sheet, and no guarantee that anyone would actually show up. It was just a hunch, a gut feeling, a belief that it mattered and it was worth it, and crafting a stage that I was willing to stand on all by myself, and something that I was willing to stand for. Of course this stage matters though, I want to get that really clear, because it's actually a result of all those quiet stages for you over the years. That one in the cold flat where you had to, for some reason, negotiate with your flatmate to turn the heat pump up a degree to study for exams, just like as a wee treat, that stage. And the one where you had to decide between studying a couple of nights before your exam and going to your mate's 21st. On retrospect, there's no wrong answer to that last one. So celebrate this stage. It's really important. You've worked so hard, I get it. But please just don't make it the peak. Make it your platform. From here, you'll find yourself on all kinds of stages, the stages of first jobs, the stages of first resignations, hopefully not within 6 months like me, but hey, it turned out all right. The stages of tangi, of stages of birth. You'll stand in the stages of classrooms, boring team calls, family kitchens, protests, boardrooms, breakdowns, both roadside and emotional. You'll stand in silence when someone's grieving. You'll stand alone when no one else does. You'll stand beside people who need to know they're not standing alone. And each time, whether someone's watching or not, you'll decide what you stand for. You definitely won't always feel ready. I didn't. And you'll worry you're completely underqualified. I did. You'll wonder if you're just winging it. You probably will be. 99% of the time over the last decade I have been. That's just what happens if you're leading the pack, innovating and doing something new. But look, here's what I've learnt. The most meaningful stages of life, the stages that you get to stand on most proudly, aren't actually earned by being the smartest in the room. They're earned by being the bravest to take the single step forward, and then by being smart enough to back it up. And clearly, you've got the smarts. Readiness is not a prerequisite for impact. You can make a difference before you feel like you deserve the mic. Before you see someone who looks like you cross across the stage, someone has to be first. Someone has to be the example. And the next generation, I've seen them beautifully, are here in this audience today, already watching you. You're having that influence already, so congratulations. And while I might sound somewhat confident, I don't know, and like I have a few of life's answers, in truth, when I was invited to give this speech, I didn't say yes straight away. Because there's that voice in my head, right? The one that says, are you even qualified to give this speech? Did they get the right person? What on earth are you going to tell those graduates? But I've stood on enough stages now to know that that voice never goes away. You just get really good at ignoring it. In fact, I've called mine Brian. Be quiet, Brian. And I've also come to understand that while we may feel alone on some stages of our lives, we never truly stand alone on our stages. To all whānau, families, friends here today, thank you. These graduates are the beneficiaries of your love, support and sacrifice. I'm sure they know that, and I'm sure you'll show up to all the stages they'll stand on. And to the graduates of today, as you leave this stage, the one with the lights, the flowers, the claps, just remember it's the start. The real stages, the ones that will truly define you, are still ahead, and that's so exciting. Some you will be invited to, and someone will shepherd you up the stairs, and some you'll have to build with your own two hands. All of them will matter. Personally for me, I honestly can't wait to see the stages you'll stand on, and in particular, what you choose to stand for. E mihi nunui kia koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa.